No Surrender is behind us, and while the show delivered solid wrestling for a pay-per-view, the real question now is direction. Because this episode of TNA felt less like an explosion and more like a reset. A moment where the company is trying to figure out exactly who's driving the ship heading towards the next event, which is Sacrifice. The world title picture is crowded, alliances are shifting, and somehow we now live in a world where a guitar case casket exists. More on that later. This wasn't about one massive moment. This was about positioning momentum and figuring out who actually matters moving forward in TNA. Welcome to the T-Drop, no soft behavior. We are going over this week's TNA with our quick recap. Opening match, we have Indi Hartwell versus Heather by Elegance. The night opened with Indi Hartwell wasting no time taking control, using her size and strength advantage to dominate the early exchanges between her and Heather by Elegance, who relied on speed and distraction with the rest of the Elegance brand hovering nearby looking for openings to interfere. The match told a simple story: power versus agility, but the visual difference between the two competitors created an interesting dynamic. Hartwell looked physically dominant throughout, which she usually does as a professional wrestler, while Heather tried to slow things down with submissions and calculated offenses. When the distraction failed, though, and the referee actually showed some awareness, Hartwell capitalized with the Hertz Donut for the win. The match was solid, but it also highlighted something bigger, clearly support Hartwell. Yet there's still a missing spark, that defining edge that transforms a popular wrestler into a true centerpiece of the division. We next get Steve Maclin, who, if you didn't find out, at Feast or Fired, he got fired. He got the briefcase that fired him. And I guess we're making a story out of this, because earlier in the night, Steve Maclin was stopped from entering the arena, forcing Tom Hannafan into an uncomfortable position as the middleman between talent and management. Now, he did at the previous PLE, I unfortunately didn't watch, and I had to watch the highlights. He interfered, I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, he did interfere in the main event with Santana. So something is happening with the story there. He is probably going to be inserted somehow. So storyline wise, he is fired, but in reality, he isn't fired, which is interesting. The story here isn't just about being locked out. Tension is building outside of the ring. And honestly, that unpredictability gives Maclin one of the most interesting narratives on the show right now, which is great. But ironically, we move after that towards Mike Santana, who walks to the ring with purpose, as always, speaking like a man who understands the weight of being hunted as champion. He warned everyone chasing the world title that constantly knocking on danger's door eventually brings consequences. When Leon Slater joined him, the energy shifted, though. Santana apologized for leaving him behind at No Surrender, and the handshake between the two felt genuine, like a moment built on respect rather than convenience. That respect didn't last long, though. The Nemeth brothers interrupted, questioning the legitimacy of Slater's recent victory. Tensions rose quickly, and a tag match challenge followed, only for authority figure Daria Ray to shut it down for another week. The segment worked because Santana feels important right now, obviously, as champion. He carries himself like the center of the company, and every interaction around him feels like it matters just a little bit. We move on to the international title between Trey Miguel and Stax. Trey Miguel entered with renewed confidence and brings Green Custom Championship title that immediately made him stand out visually. The match itself was fast and athletic, with Miguel using speed and creativity to stay ahead of the power game brought by Stax. Ariana Grace tried to tilt the match in Stax's favor, creating distractions that nearly changed the outcome. But Miguel stayed focused. A lightning spiral sealed the victory and gave him another successful title defense. This was not only about retaining the title, it's him rebuilding his identity as champion. Trey Miguel has spent time floating between divisions and roles, and this performance reminded everyone that he can carry himself as a single star again. Now we get a little backstage segment with Eric Young. Eric Young appearing with his usual cryptic energy, promising a cleanse to cleanse the place and targeting Leon Slater next. This message was intense but vague. And while the delivery was strong, the story still feels like it's waiting for a clear direction to truly connect. So hopefully in the weeks to come, we get what we want. We definitely need to...
Give me what I want!
A story. We move on to Tessa Blanchard versus Jody Threat. And yes, that's her name. This match was short but heavy in tone. Blanchard controlled the pace early, attacking the ribs and forcing Threat into survival mode. Just as momentum started shifting outside, interference created a disqualification. This post-match attack left Jody Threat vulnerable until Harley Hudson and Maya Rose made the save. The problem here was perception. Threat is positioning as a rising contender, but spending most of the segment getting beaten down didn't strengthen that image of her. Sometimes surviving isn't just enough when it comes to matches. Sometimes a contender needs a defining moment. And for right now, Jody Threat doesn't have it. So we move on. We get tag team action by newly signed BDE and teaming up with Rick Swann, going against Sinner and Saint. It was an interesting match. If the previous match felt heavy, this one felt fast. And I'll tell you why. Swann brought speed, BDE brought unpredictability, and Sinner and Saint deliver a strong showcase of teamwork that continues to elevate their status in TNA. The finish came after a brutal sequence in total elimination, giving Sinner and Saint a momentum win. The bigger story is that this team is beginning to feel more than the supporting characters in TNA. TNA is helping them with their tag team because TNA has a history of building strong tag divisions. And this felt like the early stages of something interesting for these teams. Little more backstage chaos. Now, unfortunately, couldn't clip an image for it. Mason Warner and Steph DeLander promised vengeance and immediately launched into a backstage brawl. The Hardys crossed paths also with the system, while the Righteous attempted unsuccessfully to gain trust. The segments created movements, but also contributed to a feeling that many stories are happening at once without one dominant thread guiding the show. We get to Alana Black versus Mara Sade. Alana Black confronted Mara Sade about elimination from the #1 contender battle royale, framing the conflict as two wrestlers from similar paths seeing themselves very differently. The segment worked because it stayed grounded in emotion rather than chaos. Challenge accepted. Simple storytelling and something that exactly what was needed. We then moved to the main event, which got me confused at first, but apparently this was a guitar case casket match. The main event embraced pure chaos. It was a match between Elijah and Mustafa Ali, basically a casket match, but the casket is shaped as a guitar. Interesting. Sure. I missed last week's TNA because I was away, so I try to catch up, but it was really off seeing this show up. Anyway, they had chairs scattered across the floor. They had weapons flying and momentum shifting constantly between Elijah and Mustafa Ali. Ali delivered, as always, a breathtaking offense, including a massive 450 splash, while Elijah pushed through punishment with almost superhuman resilience. Despite Order 4's being banned from the ringside, interference still found its way into the match, turning the fight into complete disorder. In the end, though, Elijah guitar shot and chokeslam through a door into the casket secured the victory for him. The match delivered spectacle, but also raised a major question. Why does Mustafa Ali keep coming up short in big moments in TNA? Elijah looked unstoppable, though, but Ali once again left without the defining win many fans feels he deserves. The fans
What I want
Now, TNA gave us a show that moved pieces around the board, but didn't quite show us the final picture yet. The talent's there, the effort is there. Now the question is whether the direction catches up, because good wrestling isn't enough anymore. Fans want momentum that they can feel and back up. And that's the T-drop for TNA. No breaks, no soft behavior. Tell me this in the comments. Who walked away of this night looking like the real center of TNA? Mike Santana, Trey Miguel, or Elijah? Drop your thoughts below, and I will see you on the next one.